Welcome to your go-to Detroit Pistons podcast, the Pistons Pulse, co-hosted by me, Bryce Simon of Motor City Hoops, a former D1 hooper and current teacher, husband, and father of 3 amazing kids.
I'm Omari Sankofa II, Pistons beat writer for the Detroit Free Press.
And of course, we're always blessed to be joined by our producer, Wes Davenport. If you are not listening to Wes and Blake Silverman on the Pin Down over on the Detroit Bad Boys YouTube channel, you absolutely should be. We got our guy Will J watching us live on the stream here on a Monday night. Make sure you are reading everything on the Detroit Free Press from Omari Sankofa II, the Substack, Motor City Hoops Substack, for free from me. But ladies and gentlemen, none of that matters tonight. We're 191 episodes in, 190. This is 191, and we are joined by the original, the 01 Omari Sankofa. Mr. Sankofa, how are you doing tonight?
I am well. My wife is sneaking in on the camera here.
I love it. And then she ducked out. I love it. Tell her to say hello. You too. Harry Morose says, what up, though? Love a pop show. Yes. So first and foremost, 01, where does the Pistons fandom start? Like, where was it? Is it lifelong from when you were a kid? Like, who was the player, the team, whatever, that got your fandom started?
Isaiah Lord Thomas. I mean, I was a casual basketball fan until really when Isaiah joined the team, there was such an energy that was generated, and I've been a diehard ever since. I mean, I've always been like a Detroit sports fan, but I really got dialed in when Isaiah joined the team.
What's up, Dad? How's it going? How are you, Pops?
It's all right.
Oh, too. Do you remember your father's fandom? Like, as you were growing up as a kid? Because, like, I imagine my children, everybody knows my equivalent is the Chiefs. So I imagine my children will grow up and then remember, like, their dad freaking out about Chiefs wins and losses and whatever. Do you remember your dad's fandom as you grew up?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I probably really came into my basketball fandom around like 10, 11 years old. You know, especially when the Pistons were, like, I think they won a championship when I was around 10 years old. So I remember that playoff run, and the year before that, in the Eastern Conference Finals, like, you know, we'd go over Uncle and Aunt's house, you know, watch with the family, cousins and all that. And we went to like a good amount of games growing up too. Like, you know, my dad has a type of social network where he would just kind of come onto tickets a lot. And like back then, like, I think the Pistons would, you know, give out a lot of tickets to, you know, community leaders and stuff like that. So we went to like a good amount of games too. So yeah, definitely got to credit. But I mean, my mom's a big basketball fan too. I got to give her a shout out too. But it came from both sides for sure. I
love it. So guys, just a real quick, next week I'll bring on, 02 is straight up going off season for the next couple weeks. So next week I'll be joined by my former college basketball coach, Jeff Jones. The week after that, we'll have Slam and Jam, Alex Spears and Andrew Sleck to break down the Western Conference. And then 02 will be back, and we'll get into that. But we've been talking about having 01 on for a while, and we're not just going to reminisce. We're going to talk Detroit Pistons, because we know 01. He's in our comments section all the time. We know he can talk this with us. So I do want to start here. I know we were joking before the episode. The Pistons did make a move today. Listen, I can't help myself. Wes is mad at me right now. So 01, Javonte Green, any thoughts on the signing for filling the 14th roster spot for the Pistons?
You know, 6'4", 32 years old, nothing against the age. LeBron's at 40, so it just didn't check the boxes that I think they need to check. So we'll see, though.
Real quick, are you on the page? So when you say check the boxes, that can lead us into this conversation. Was it you think they needed a more true four-man? Are you in they need a backup point guard camp? Like, what box were you hoping they might check with a signing like this?
So I'm in the backup four-man. I want to see what, I think his name is Janice.
Oh, Dennis Jenkins. Yeah.
Jenkins. Yeah. I want to see what he does. Plus, I didn't see any, I'm not sure who they would pick up at a point at this point, but I was definitely in for the four-man.
Yeah, I think Corey Joseph is still out there.
Yeah, Corey J is out there.
Yeah, still some guys.
Hey, he started playoff games last year, too. So
he did start playoff games last year. Dad, just walk us through this past season. Like, you were, you know, among the Pistons fans. You kind of went through the agony of, you know, the season before last, and like, you know, last season, like obviously the turnaround and all that. Like, just walk us through, you know, just the last year of your Pistons fandom and what stood out about this team.
Well, let me just say one thing. So Corey Joseph, Corey J, it's something to be said about having having a Canadian on your basketball team.
Yeah.
They've had a ton of success lately. So got to give it up to the folks across the border from us.
That's why I want Trey Lyles, right? Like Trey Lyles
exactly.
is Canadian.
He's Canadian.
Yeah.
Another proud Canadian.
There you go.
01, is that the name? Is Trey Lyles the name that we're talking about here for that backup 4 position? Are you with me on that boat?
I would take Trey Lyles. And I mean, if they could have got 2 Canadians in here, 2 who have history with the Pistons, I think that would have been a nice transition. But as for the year, though, I mean, I came into the season and Omari, with no expectations. I mean, after the season before, whatever they did better than 14 games, I was happy. And so to say that I was quite elated to see how far they went and to see the level of play that went through the year after losing J.I., I was through the roof. So came in with no expectations, so it blew me away and just happy.
So real quick, my theory on Trey Lyles is that he has a handshake deal with the Warriors in the same way that it sounds like Al Horford does, and that happens whenever whatever's going on with Jonathan Kuminga goes on. So I always like to preface this before we talk about the offseason because I think it's important because people's opinion of the offseason is going to be dependent on what they wanted to see happen. So 01, were you in the camp of they needed to go out and make a big splash? They needed to go all in on Trey Murphy or Jaren Jackson Jr., or, these hypothetical things? Or were you in the camp of essentially run it back in some capacity? What was kind of your hope for the offseason?
Run it back. I think J.I. was the X factor. If you save your gunpowder, wait until you really need to make a big blast. I think you see what you get out of J.I. and see what happens at the trade deadline. I mean, that to me was their big acquisition. Given what they did last year, and you didn't have him for the period of time that he was out, and given how he started the year, that to me was really what you need to look for. You just need to fill in the gaps with the Canadians.
Yeah, this is on brand for you because you hated the Blake trade. I remember we had debates back and forth. You could never get a guy of that caliber, so there's always going to be some sort of catch. But you were not on board at all. You wanted to write that out. So
yeah, he had an injury. So you had Reggie Jackson that had injury history. And you had Blake Griffin with injury history, and that's too much history between 2 players, especially when the time that you needed them. If they had beginning of the season injuries and they healed and played, that's fine. But with those 2, it was always towards the end of the year.
Guys, real quick, if you're here with us, you have any questions? We already have one in here that we'll save for a little bit later about who 01's favorite Piston is all time, and we'll save that for later. But if you guys have any questions about 01 and 02 and, whatever, the relationship, 02 growing up, obviously within reason, 02 will let me know if there's anything they don't want to answer or talk about, I guess. But put them in the comments. That's why we had him on, is this is supposed to be fun because it is, the middle of August right now. So let's go to the offseason then. Let's go to the draft first, and then we can talk about, the additions, free agencies, all of that. For a fan like you, were you done with the top 5 picks? Were you still getting excited every year whenever, yes, the losing sucks, but hey, we get to scout the draft and all of that? Or were you okay this year? No first round pick. I'll wait till 37 and get a second round pick. What was your feelings about not having a first round pick finally?
I felt good about not having a first round pick. It said something about getting beyond that point where they had this hang up with this draft pick. And so I'm like, okay, you don't have a first round pick. I don't know that this will be one of the best drafts that they've had. I mean, time will tell, but just for them to clear the books, get that off and after having a phenomenal season, I was like, okay, you know what? This had to happen at some point. This is probably the best time for it to happen. Let's keep it moving.
So obviously they went and got Charles Lanier, and we can kind of tie that into the summer league aspect too, because you mentioned you mentioned Dennis. What do you like about Charles? I don't know how tapped into the prospects and that range you were, but just the idea obviously of adding that caliber of shooter, and then they got some good performances from Dennis Jenkins, like you mentioned, and Tolu too. Just kind of what's your thoughts on those guys?
So I will say this. I'm going to have to trust some of the history with the Pistons on those late picks. And I think it's been hit or miss. I'm trying to think about it. I thought it was more hit than miss, but it's hit or miss. And I'll just wait and see what happens. It would be great if he hits, if he can score, and if he can be that person coming off the bench that can score for them. I'd absolutely love that. But, I really didn't put a whole lot of expectations in those second round picks that they had. It would be great if they hit, but if they don't, I think they're still in a good position roster wise. And, with the contracts, I think they're good. I think that Beef Stew was a really good contract. And I think that's going to help them down the line. What happens with Ivy and Duran is to be seen, but, for where they picked, I think I'm happy with it.
Just to play off what you said and mentioned about the second round picks, I think recently the argument would probably be against that. But if you go back to the 2010s, you had Chris Middleton, who ended up being a pretty good player. That was the second round pick. Spencer Dinwiddie, who's a pretty solid NBA player for pick 38.
Bruce Brown a little bit more recently.
Yeah, Bruce Brown as well. So I think in the 2010s, whenever you can mention those three guys as second round picks, that's a heck of a track record. And then in the 20s, it hasn't seemed to be as good. So what about, you mentioned Dennis Jenkins, 01. It's a guy I think a lot of Pistons fans came away very intrigued by out of Summer League. So speak to Dennis, speak to what you saw from Ron Holland. If you want to touch on Bobby Klintman, whoever, but I'm really encouraged to hear what you thought about Dennis Jenkins to start.
I was impressed with him because he did what you would expect a second year guy who was drafted in the first round to do. And that's not his situation. But he dominated when he was on the floor. And you expect that someone playing with the folks from that league would dominate. Now you say, well, does that footprint carry into the NBA? Does that happen in the NBA? I want to see it happen. I want to see him get that opportunity to show what he can do. So I was very excited about it. And I'm sorry, what was there was the second part of that question you asked about?
I was just curious, Holland or Bobby Klintman or anybody, just your overall thoughts in general.
Yeah. And so again, Holland, he came in and did what you would want to see from a second year guy. He came in, he dominated. And that's exactly what you would want to see. Tolu and some of the other guys, I would want to see more, especially going into, I think this is their third season.
Yeah,
Correct
I think
me on that.
it's year 2 for him too. Him and Dennis came in on the 2 ways.
Yeah. So I'm not as happy with their play, with their performance, but I'm not dissatisfied either. I think someone pointed out the fact that the G League teams need those types of players because it helps the organization. It helps, being able to get them to transition when they do need to come up because they're playing good basketball. They have some skill sets that you can use and they may not ever find a permanent role or a solid 2-year run in the NBA, but they can still be solid players in your G League team. So, I mean, that's my take on it.
Yeah. What did you think of, obviously you couldn't predict the Malik Beasley fallout, but, for them to go get Karras and Duncan Robinson, you watch Michigan basketball, you've seen those guys for years, obviously, just overall thoughts on the shift from last year's vets to this year's vets.
I think it was a good pivot. I mean, given everything that was going on, I think it was a good pivot. So Duncan is a bigger player than what we had. And so is the guy from Michigan. I can think of his name right now. Right, it escapes me. Karis LeVert from the LeVert family. So, OJ's. But so, yeah, that was a good pivot. You get more size. I think you're going to get someone who can play the 1 in LeVert. I think he can play some spots at the 1. And I think that the defense that you're going to get from Duncan is comparable to what you were getting already. And so, and now you have a taller person, you have a bigger person, and that helps on the defense as well. So you might actually improve on the defense. And I think that Duncan has something to prove based on his contract situation. And so I think he's going to play harder to get that next better deal, which might be his last deal. I don't know how many more years he has based on what his contracts might be and if teams want to keep him around that long.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm a little fascinated sometimes when people, and I may be proven wrong here, that whenever they brought in Duncan to I guess, replace Malik or whatever. I was like, I think Duncan Robinson is like that level of volume shooter. You know what I mean? Like, I'm surprised, I guess, at times how much fans have questioned Duncan Robinson's ability to fill the role that Malik Beasley was in. And I think part of it for me, O1, is I don't know that Malik Beasley was going to replicate what Malik Beasley did last year. Like that was, I always say a truly historic 3-point shooting season. I don't know that he was probably going to be able to do it. When you just look at the history of those two players, Duncan Robinson is just as much of a volume 3-point shooter as what Beasley has been throughout his career. So I thought it was a solid pivot by Trajan. You know what I mean? Like, he got put into a situation where he had no other choice. And I was pleased with it as well. It sounds like you very much. Was there anything out there that maybe would have made you happier? Like, was there a player that you've seen get signed, that ended up somewhere else that maybe would have been really exciting for you, that wasn't maybe like a home run swing? You're smiling. You got an answer for us. I love it.
He's a Canadian. He went to Atlanta.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. Like Alexander Walker.
Okay. All right. Hold up. O2, I love you, right? You know this.
Okay.
We've almost done 200 episodes together, but me and O1 are on the same wavelength here a lot. We may have to replace O2 every once in a while.
I told you before the episode started, if we start to talk to food, like, it'll be the only time, and Omari and Bryce are on the same side as far as some of that. So we'll see where we go.
All right, real quick before we go to break, our guy Robin Chan let us know the merch is back up. So the Pistons Pulse merch is back up. If you're in the comments right here, it'll be in like the link in the descriptions and all of that. You can check that out and you can go get Pistons Pulse merch. I'm wearing one of the shirts right here. Guys, I'm telling you, like, the hoodies are like legit. I mean, straight up, like the hoodies. I have a coffee mug that sits on my desk at school, all of that. So go check it out if you want some Pistons Pulse merch. Yeah, so Wes says it should be in the description for the podcast on all platforms as well. So when we get back, we're going to get O1's thoughts on some of the players and expectations coming up this season, as well as the questions you guys have dropped in the comments. We've starred all of those. We will get to all of those. And then we will also play Sheet or Sham at the end of the podcast. But when we come back, O2, let's get your Pop's thoughts on expectations for this team next season.
All right, we're back with segment 2. Pistons, obviously, they're going into next season with heightened expectations. I think, the extent that they should be heightened, there's probably some debate there. But, you already stated you're, cool with sort of the run it back strategy, see what they have in J.I. But what does a meaningful step forward look like for you next season, for this team coming off of last year?
Yeah, I think a meaningful step forward would be to sustain it this year. And so, yeah, you can say, I like to see them get to 50 wins. You can say things like that, but to sustain what they did last year, I think is a meaningful step, because then you have 2 years of track record that this can happen. You have to think about some of the other teams that played with injuries, so they were not as strong as they could have been. You didn't have Philly where Philly should be. And so what does it mean now if Philly comes back strong? What does it mean? What does it mean with New York and the changes that they've gone through?
Orlando.
In particular, Orlando. And let's face it, I think that Atlanta is a better team than they were last year.
Yep, if healthy.
Exactly, if healthy. And so, so the expectation would be like, okay, maybe they get 5 more wins. I think sustained performance and getting in that 6 to 8 spot is really my measuring stick for them for this year, if they can sustain it and show proof with J.I. and the new additions that they can do it again. And I think extra wins on top of that is gravy, especially when you look at what has happened now with Indiana, to a certain degree, what has happened with Boston and those injuries. And you can go on. I think the West has gotten stronger, but the East has gotten weaker. So at minimum, they should sustain what they did last year.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get to some of the players. We're probably not going to be able to get to every single individual player here. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a choice. You can touch touch on each one a little bit, or if you want to pick one and go. You've mentioned J.I. multiple times. So between J.I., J.D., Asar, let me put you on the spot a little bit. No, let's take J.I. out. J.D. or Asar, which one are you more interested to watch this next season? Like in terms of their growth or what they're going to be or what you may learn from their game. Which one of those two are you more kind of just like honing in on next season?
I think Duran.
Okay.
I think Duran because I don't know when they will redo the contract. And I want to see, so he's progressed every year, in my opinion. And if he improves on, if he can pop out 8 feet, 10 feet and still hit some shots, I think that makes the Pistons, as anybody would agree, so much better. So I think that his next phase at that level and get him in his age as well. He's still, is he 21 yet?
He turns 22, I think, in November.
Okay.
Going into year 4. So
yeah. And so he still has some basketball growth to go. And, I keep wishing that, he had a late growth spurt and come back at 7'1".
Well, yeah. Well, here's some lore for you. You were still growing at 22, right? So,
I kept growing it until I was 30. So
what about, you talk about J.I. being the X factor. Why is he the X factor for you? Why is he the guy that you think could really, change things?
I mean, with his speed on the floor and the pressure that he puts on the D is tremendous. And so if he can put that pressure coming down fast, and now he's kicking it out and he's taking pressure off of Cade, and Cade can play a little bit off ball now. I mean, I think he just makes everybody better, because he's bringing a different aspect to the game that really nobody else on the Pistons has, with his ability to move at the speed that he does. You have folks who can move as fast, I think, on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, I think he's the fastest player. I'm not sure what do you fellas think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think O2 and I have been screaming since they drafted him about the first step,
Yep.
that like this was going to be an elite skill from day one for J.I. And I think probably more than anybody, I've probably pushed. I think him and Cade can survive together. Now, I honestly think I kind of bought into the catch and shoot ability and the ability to play off the ball from Jaden Ivey, especially off of the Cade Cunningham. I really think where I want to see J.I. improve is defensively, because I think you need that kind of defender. You can't have a negative defender. This
Right.
is a team that seems to be building their identity on the defensive end. You have an elite defender, or what looks like it's going to be an elite defender in Asar Thompson. Yeah. So a YouTube user takes the words out of my mouth. If Ivy can hit 38% on catch and shoot, great compliment to Cade, assuming he can improve to just below neutral on defense. I would say I'd want him to get at least to neutral. And then with what Cade is defensively, what Asar is, Duran still needs to continue to grow. But I'm with you. I've always thought it could work. Now it's just like, does Ivy make the growth and the consistency for it to actually work? What about, we mentioned Ron Holland a little bit earlier. After seeing him at Summer League, I think sometimes this is a guy that's forgotten about in terms of like what his ceiling could be, because Asar's so exciting and Cade's all NBA. What kind of expectations do you have for the young Ron Holland coming back in year 2 now?
Ron I can see him being the favorite on the team.
Sure.
Because of his personality, what he does. And you forget his size. He appears on television to be smaller than he actually is for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But when you read what his stats are in terms of his size and everything, it's like, he's a big dude.
It's because he's gangly. Like he's 6'8", but he's
so.
But he's got like that 19 kind of build,
01, man. Like I feel like I know I watch every Pistons game. I feel like I'm pretty decent doing this stuff. And I said it that Asar Thompson was bigger than him, and O2 and Wes had to call me out. Like, no, he's not. Like, Ron is bigger. And whatever. Like, there's no, to this day, I still in my head, I'm like, Asar's bigger than Ron Holland, but it's a great call. Yeah. Devon says, I don't know. I did not know Ron was 6'8". It's
6'8".
It's crazy.
And the way he put on social media that he gained 15 pounds. So.
Right. And the way he moves, he moves very fluid for a 6'8" guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he runs around there like a 2-guard. I mean, that's what I get in mind. I actually think like a better defending Rick Hamilton when I see him move around the floor, and he's all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go, because I want to get to these questions. There's some fun questions, and we'll do that for about 10 minutes or so, and then we'll get to Sheet or Sham at the end. So if you guys have any more questions for 01 and 02, make sure you get them in starting here right about now. You're going to call your shot, 01, all right? You mentioned a little bit earlier, you mentioned the Cavs, the Knicks, the Magic, the Hawks, what are the Bucks, et cetera. You know these teams. What seed do you think Detroit ends up this season?
And they were 5 last year.
They were 5
just to kind
last
of put
year.
it in perspective, yeah.
Yeah. So we Cavs,
Yep.
Knicks,
Yep.
Orlando's going to be in the mix.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Atlanta,
Yep.
still going to be there. I would say a 6 or 7. I still would give them a 6 or 7.
Okay. I think I had him at 5 and you did as well, right? 02, right
I think I had
behind.
him at 5. I think West had him at 6, right?
Nah, but we're going to leave it alone. Yeah. Wes had him at 7. Yeah. Well, Wes turned into the...
I'm not trying to drag West back under the bus from last week. I was just...
Okay. So what about a playoff series win? We saw this team take the Knicks to the wire, right? Every single game without Beef Stew, without Jaden Ivey. You think they, whether it's a 5, 6 or 7, I don't think any of us think they have home court in the first round, but that doesn't mean they can't steal a series,
Right.
Especially in this Eastern Conference. Go out on a limb and predict a series victory.
And of course, it's always going to be about who they match up with.
Yep.
But the experience.
Yeah.
And so they have the experience. They have it under their belts. The question is going to be who is going to bring that extra burst of energy. And I think this is where Ron Holland is going to be big. Even as a bench player, I think that he's going to be a strong driver for them because he knew he made some mistakes last year. So he's bigger, stronger, and faster. So I think he's going to make an impact. And I think that if they get off that first round, it's going to be because of the play of a Ron Holland.
Love it. All right, let's get to these questions again, guys. If you have any more, throw them in here. T-Bond 17, Pops, who's your all-time favorite Piston?
Isaiah Lower Thomas.
What was it about his game? Because, I'm familiar with Isaiah Thomas and his greatness and all of that, but I'm not super familiar. It's not like I grew up watching him, right? What was it about his game that was so enjoyable to watch or kind of made you fall in love with it?
Isaiah didn't quit. There was no, I have a headache, I can't play in the playoffs for Isaiah Thomas. That did not exist. He took it to you, and he played in an era where everybody else on the floor was bringing it to you. So you were getting elbowed, you were getting kicked, you were getting snatched, you were getting pushed down, headlock, thrown around, and the dude did not back down to anybody. And he inspired his team to not back down to anybody. So not only was he just a ferocious and pure, one of the best point guards to ever play the game, he was a fighter. There was nothing chicken about Isaiah Thomas as a player.
01, I know you're not a fan anymore, but, growing up, was there a favorite Piston or a favorite NBA player in general until this became a job and you no longer were allowed to be a fan?
Dwayne Wade.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you're talking non-Pistons, I think D Wade was probably up until the decision. Dwayne Wade was my favorite.
The decision wasn't his fault.
It wasn't his fault, but it was.
But he was part of it.
It was just contaminated. It just wasn't it wasn't the same.
It was the cabal.
Yeah, it wasn't his team anymore, and just and it was just different. But yeah, D Wade. I was also a big Gilbert Arenas fan.
Okay. All right. Michael Manville says, 01, when do you first remember seeing 02's love of the Pistons come out? So, that or the NBA or basketball in general. Do you have any memories of maybe going to a game, watching on TV, anything like that?
So, because we were always watching the games together, he didn't really have an option to choose something else.
Okay.
It was always there. We started watching we watched college basketball and we watched football. So it was always there. I think the moment I realized how much he had a passion for it was when he was in high school. And my wife found out that he was writing articles in high school. I think it was 10th grade. Was it 10th grade or 11th grade?
It was 10th grade. Yeah. It was before Bleacher Report was purchased by NBC. And it was a little bit like not even quite SB Nation because literally anybody could sign up and write. And I was like 15 and I was like, like I'm just going to write something about the Pistons and see how it goes.
Let's go.
So my wife came home and she asked him, what was he doing? If he's doing homework, he said, no, I'm writing an article for Bleacher Report. So he's like, what's Bleacher Report? She tells him the whole story. So she starts looking at all the articles that he's written, and folks are responding to this 10th grader about articles he's written on Bleacher Report. And she said, well, I'm going to go to the school. We're going to put you on a newspaper. And he didn't want to be on a newspaper. So he ended up.
Hold up.
Go ahead.
He was doing it without you guys knowing initially? He hadn't told you guys?
It was just something to do. Like,
just something to do.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was just something to do.
This is why we needed 01 on, because this is the story that I wanted to get out of this episode. This is incredible.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep. And I mean, the rest is history because he, my wife got him on, she drug him down there, got him on a newspaper. He became the editor-in-chief of the newspaper. A good friend of mine, Michael Lewis, his son ended up being Omari's, what do you call the assistant editor?
Yeah. He was one of the assistant editors, Mike Lewis.
And they both became journalists.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And Omari won the Free Press Scholarship and he went on to Michigan State and became the editor-in-chief at Michigan State. And I mean, it was just like, had my wife not peeked over his shoulder, I don't know. He might be at the grocery store bagging groceries right now.
Let me ask you this. Obviously you read O2's work.
Yeah.
Was there something different when he started doing the podcast? Like, obviously you can hear it in your voice, how proud you are of him, and rightfully so. But is it different listening to him pod and hearing his voice than there is whenever you're reading his writing? Like, is there anything different between that once we started the podcast up and you got to hear his voice kind of in a different media setting?
Well, so again, we spent so much time together. I'm used to hearing his voice.
Okay.
I mean, between scouting and just different things that we've done over the years. So I'm used to hearing his voice. So I definitely am proud and that, he still has that same personality. And so, love the personality. So he is who he is. And I love it. So if I tell a story, okay, Omari was a big stutterer growing up.
Yeah, it was.
He was a big stutterer. And so to see him, so I see it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Like to think that here was my kid who was a big stutterer. Now doing TV, I've seen him do TV, doing his podcast, all these episodes. And so, we are very proud of him. He's followed his passion and it's a beautiful thing.
It really is. This is amazing. I love it.
We'd have you on more, Dad. This is good Omari lore right here. This is good. This is good. We needed this. We were overdue for this.
I don't mean to change the subject, but is that a gaming headset on? Like, are you a gamer or what?
No, this is for work.
Oh, okay. All right.
This is for work. Yeah.
All right. YouTube user says 01 looks like he's still in playing shape. Who wins one-on-one between 01 and 02?
So I'll say this. Yeah, my dad, like you guys see the bike in the background. Like, my dad would get on the bike too, so big biker.
Yeah.
Or tries to be at least, yeah.
YouTube user says, heartwarming episode. Devon says, don't cry, man. I was getting a little emotional there. Like, I only known the man for a few years. Omari lore is incredible. So, yeah, you do, 01. You look like you've been working out, staying in shape. So you got him, though. You got him. You get the jumpers there still.
You know what? We haven't played since they were, the last time we played, you were at Michigan State. And I could beat them then. But now he has more muscle, so he might pull a Rick Mahorn on me.
Love it.
He backed me down.
Mr. Ray says, what was the most memorable moment for each of the Omaris going to a Pistons game, assuming they don't share the most memorable moment together? So 01, we'll start with you, and then we'll see if 02 has a different one.
So, I mean, we've gone to so many games. I think, Omari, so I don't remember if you were still in the troop the one year we got to two of the locker rooms.
That might have been after me.
It may be after you. Okay, so that was with Malik.
Okay.
I think that was
my brother for, context, my younger brother, Malik.
Yeah. And I think, what was a memorable moment? It was not Pistons basketball. It is when we went and we got to put those seat cushions at the Final Four game.
Oh, yeah, 2009.
Yeah.
Ford Field. Yeah, we were part of the setup crew.
Yeah, we were part of the setup crew.
And we still have those cushions for like a long time.
We still have them.
Yeah, just had like the 2009 NCAA logo on them.
And that's probably one of my most memorable moments because it was, it's the Final Four. We didn't get to see the game, but we were in the building and we got to, I got to be there with my son. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we went to one of the jersey retirements. Was it Chauncey? Ben Wallace?
I can't recall. We did. I don't remember who though. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that was one of the last. That might have been the last game we went to at the Palace, actually.
Yeah, and was it more than one, or is it just?
I feel like we went to two. I feel like we went to two different jersey retirements. Like I want to say it was Chauncey and Ben, but it might have been Rip. Like I would have to go back through my old photos from 10 plus years ago or whatever they did it. No, but I was still living in Pittsburgh for one of them, and I want to say one of them was around 2018, or whatever the last year was for they went to the LCA. So that's up there for me.
So Mr. Ray says I missed the Palace. 01, the Palace or Little Caesars?
Oh, so the seating at the Palace, the arena at Little Caesars.
Okay.
And that's because of where it's located. When you left the Palace, there was literally, you waited 20 minutes to get on the expressway to try to get home. But when you're right down smack in the middle of downtown, it's, whatever you want to do, you can do it.
All right. So Devon asks, I have a question for 01. Favorite music artist? I was going to mention before, but since he knows about Levert's uncle, I got to ask. So I need some context. I don't know about because I missed something with the Levert family comment earlier. So what am I need the context and then 01 can answer. So 02, give me the context of the question.
So Gerald Levert was the lead singer of the OJs, which is just, one of the classic 70s. They might have started off in the 60s, soul groups.
Okay.
And Gerald Levert might be a second or third cousin or something like that. But it was like the OJs are a family group. So, being related to Gerald Levert, he's related to all of them. And the OJs, like if you listen, like if you went on YouTube and just typed in the OJs, this is like their top 5 songs, you would recognize at least one of them for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So 01 now, favorite music artist?
Someone we went as a family to see, just Stevie Wonder.
Okay. Love it.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder.
Nice. All right. 02, what food takes would me and your pops agree on against you? Like what?
My dad is a picky eater, so I don't even know. Like probably just most of them. Honestly,
chips on burgers or sandwiches or whatever these crazy people do. 01, you're out on chips on that stuff, right?
So I would probably try a chip on a burger, but I don't eat a lot of beef.
Okay.
But I would try it. But so I have I'm allergic to onion.
Okay.
I'm allergic to like bell pepper. Okay. And any kind of bell pepper.
Interesting.
And, I have texture sometimes bothers me with food. So if it's the wrong texture, it's out. I like chocolate brownies. I do not like chocolate cake.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
02, you seem distraught by that answer.
I don't know if I do that, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. I have questions.
Oh my gosh. It's completely different texture. All right. We're going to go to Will J and then we're going to play Sheet or Sham. Will J, our guy, longtime guy that tunes in when he can. I know he's a big time supporter. So I want to get to this before we go to break. I wonder if you guys had the power to choose between J.I., J.D., or a SAR as an all-star next decade for the next 10 years. Who would you want it to be and why? I will lead off here, give you guys a chance to think about it. I think I would go a SAR just because I think the idea, if a SAR is an all-star, that means the defense is in an all-defense level, and I think the offense came around, and I just think having a two-way wing like that is probably as valuable as it gets. J.I. would be a close second, and then J.D. would probably be third for me. So, 02, where would you go?
Yeah, I would say a SAR number 1. Just having two, elite wings. And K is not a wing, but, he might as well be because he's 6'6". To me, if AT hits the way we think he could hit, you're, talking about a Tatum, Jaylen Brown, caliber duo, and I don't say that lightly. I think those would be two top 25 guys, if it works out for a SAR the way we think he can. Especially with what he does defensively. There are so many superstar, star wings, of that size that can't defend nearly as well. It's that gives you such a leg up. So I would go AT just because I just think what he's skilled at could just carry you so much further. And we've seen teams obviously over the years succeed with two big ball handling guards or wings or whatever. So it's just a pretty proven formula.
All right. 01, I think I know where you're going to go on this, but maybe you'll surprise us.
Yeah, because I was going to say Ron Holland.
I love it.
Only because of his size. He's already, I think, ahead of Asar in shooting.
Yeah.
And so I think that he would probably be my choice. If I just limited to that list, then I would probably go with J.I.
Okay. Love it. All right. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we will see our guy Wes Davenport on the screen as we are going to play everybody's favorite game, Sheed or Sham.
All right, we are back with segment 3, and I'm going to pass the mic over to Wes Davenport, who's going to lead us through our favorite game.
All right, Owen, you know the rules? You recall?
I think I'll follow as we go.
All right. So the only thing that might still be new, I keep calling it out. You guys don't really use it all that often. It's like a cool feature that we thought up, and then no one's ever used it. But you can follow the chat. So like, if you don't know the answer, you could once per Sheed or Sham game ask chat, tell me what it is, and then just run with what they say. Other than that, Sheed is true, Sham is false. I'll ask the question as a stated fact, or there is one of these where it's just straight trivia. But if none of you get it, I have a Sheed or Sham follow-up to lead you along the way. And then we'll just kind of go from there. All right, first one. And I will ask you, Bryce, this one first, since you are up 8-6, by the way, on the all-time game. So we all know Malik Beasley had a historic three-point shooting season last year, but Tim Hardaway Jr. himself was no slouch. So Sheed or Sham, THJ was so good last year that he now sits 9th in the record books for the most three-pointers made by a Piston in a single season.
Who, by the way, Omari did pay up on all of that, as you guys know. Sheed.
I realized after the fact that through my hotel, I could have got like a 20% discount
on
anyway.
the meal we had.
On the meal we had, like I realized that when I got home, I was just like, man.
Well, you should have got a 50% discount for having to sit in the sun the way you did.
Yeah, I was baking.
Yeah, I'll go Sheed. Sheed.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go Sheed. I think he hit like off the top of my head, I want to say he hit like 179, and like I mean. In today's era, like you crack 153s of the season, like on a lot of teams, you're going to be in the mix for top 10, 15 all time. So I'm going to go Sheed.
Yeah. So I'm going Sheed because that question, you'd have to be a real statistical basketball guy to know the answer. So I'm hoping you wouldn't just, stick us with a pin with that question. So.
01 plays this game just like 02, where he doesn't even pay attention to the question. He just tries to psychoanalyze it.
Well, you're all correct. I won't actually give a bonus point, but 01 or 02, you guys might know who he is tied with. He's actually tied at 9th with another Piston. Won a championship, right? No, maybe didn't. Either way, early 2000s, point guard, not Billups.
Early 2000s, a point guard? Not Billups.
I was going to guess Allen Houston.
Yeah, I was going to say Allen Houston as well.
Lindsey Hunter.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Lindsey Hunter.
Lindsey Hunter. That was the only name I expected.
The only other guard it could be is Lindsey Hunter, but that's actually, that's actually surprising.
So I actually would have said Lindsey Hunter, but then I was like, I don't know if did he shoot threes like that, but I'm looking at his page right. He had some years for sure. Late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah.
No, I want to say I saw an interview where he talked about that.
Yeah, he was a career 36%.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely got threes up. Yeah. 5 attempts a game on 37% in 01. He had about 5 attempts on 43% in 2000. Lindsey Hunter, I was not familiar with your game. I apologize. He was definitely getting them up.
Yeah, I was surprised by it too.
One's all around.
Yes, one's all around. All right, so next one we'll go 02, just kind of go around the horn here. So kind of a follow-up. Former Piston Sadiq Bey currently holds 2 of the top 5 three-point shooting seasons in Pistons history by total makes, not by percentage. Sheed or Sham.
Hold on, I have to correct you. His name is Sadiq Bey.
Sadiq Bey. I'm going to go Sheed because I know he has one of them. So it wouldn't shock me if he has 2 in the top 5.
01.
Okay, I'm going to go opposite my son just because. And you said Sheed.
I said Sheed.
Okay, I'm just going to go Sham.
So I was going to go Sham as well, because knowing Wes, my guess is that it is one of them. It was like 6 or something like that. By the way, shameless plug, Sam Vecini and I will be doing a 2020 NBA redraft here in the next few weeks. And as Pistons fans know, that is Saddiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and I'll probably make a joke about Killian Hayes at some point in that episode. But I will go Sham here.
All right. So it is indeed Sham. And
Let's
Bryce,
go.
you were right. So his 21-22 year, second all-time Pistons history. And then 2021, so that would have been his rookie year, tied for 6 with Terry Mills, which would have been a name you guys probably would have gotten. But yes, so I did get it on a technicality on that one. You have me pegged.
I was,
That's your see, now you're psychoanalyzing. I did psychoanalyze thoroughly enough.
I mean, you got to do. You know what's crazy about Saddiq Bey? Sorry to hijack this. Any of you want to guess where Saddiq Bey ranks in minutes played in that draft class? So in the 2020 draft, where do you think Saddiq Bey ranks in terms of total minutes played?
Like career-wise?
Career.
He was an Iron Man before.
Yeah.
This is why it surprised me.
Yeah.
So that's
Man,
giving it away a little bit. He is 7.
Wow.
Behind only Anthony Edwards, Hallie, McDaniels, Maxey, Avdia, and Bain.
Yeah.
Ahead of guys like Devin Vassell, Emmanuel Quickly, LaMelo Ball, like who's obviously often injured, Peyton Pritchard, Onyeka. Like,
it only surprises me because Sadiq's been hurt the last year.
So
Right.
that's the
He
thing.
missed like all last season, right?
All of those guys I said until you get to LaMelo Ball have played 300 plus career games, and Bey is at 292. So he was just playing. It wasn't just the games. He was playing a ton of minutes early in his career because he's been hurt, the last couple of years. So I was kind of fascinated whenever I was doing my research for that. So sorry.
All right. Well, we'll go over to 01 for this one. This one's just straight trivia, but if none of you guys are getting it all, I'll kind of steer it into a different sheet or Sham. But I was calling this one the you miss 100% of the shots you don't take question. So name the former Piston who holds the team record for total shots missed in a single season. Total shots
in a single
missed.
season. Missed. I am going to go with, I don't know. I'm just going to go with, I'll just say Ben Wallace.
All right, Bryce.
Allen Iverson.
Okay, Allen Iverson.
Jerry Stack.
He didn't even play a full season, Omar.
Jerry Stackhouse.
Jerry Stackhouse.
All right. It is Jerry Stackhouse. It is Jerry Stackhouse. I'm
So-
impressed you
That's
got
a good
that.
guess, actually.
No. Yeah, I will give credit where credit is due. This is a Keith Black Trudeau thing. So quick story. When I first started doing this, even before Wes joined me, I went on a podcast and they asked me some Pistons history about the number 1 pick. And I didn't know about Bob Lanier. And so people called me out on it, fairly so. And so I brought Keith Black Trudeau on and we did 3 hours of Pistons history over 2 episodes. And so I had to brush up on it. And I very strongly remember the Jerry Stackhouse portion of the episode. So I thought Stackhouse might be the answer here.
I was
Got
just
the
shocked.
volume.
He's like the only modern guy. It was him, and then the rest of the top 10 was Dave Bing, George Yardley, and Bob Lanier. So Stack was just putting him up.
Yeah, I mean, he averaged 31
He
or
had
something.
a
around
year we
99,
averaged
2000.
30 plus, right?
Yeah, on classic early 2000s efficiency.
There was some Drummond answers, and as Mr. Ray says, I have Drummond PTSD. I saw him miss 4 open layups around the rim. Just assumed it happened every game.
Yeah,
he got all those
Drummond's
rebounds.
a good guess just because of the sheer amount of offensive rebounds he had.
Yeah. So I think Rodney Stuckey missed more layups than.
Yeah. There's a name.
That's a good shot.
All right.
All right. Well, Bryce, this one should be back to you, I think. So Sheed or Sham, the Detroit Pistons averaged 3 fewer 3-point attempts per game after Jaden Ivey was injured this past season. So Ivey goes down, 3 fewer attempts per game.
The Pistons as a team?
As a team.
I'm going to say Sham because it just doesn't sound right because I feel like they played faster as the season went on. So I'm assuming I'm going to be wrong here, but I'm going to say Sham just to stick to what I would truthfully think. So Sham. 02?
I'm going to go Sheed because Asar replaced J.I. in the starting lineup. And also those minutes would have been replaced by, other guys who were not taking threes as much as J.I. Dennis Schroeder probably didn't take as many.
Holland probably started getting more minutes, maybe. Yeah.
Probably wasn't taking this many. I'm going to go Sheed.
Yeah, I'm going the same direction as my son this time because I I was wondering how many more minutes did other players get and who those players were. And also, Fontecchio was not shooting this year, so he wasn't on the floor. So, yeah, I'm going to agree with you here.
Sheed is correct. So they were at 37 3-point attempts prior to that injury. And obviously with some change, right? It wasn't on the dot, but then 34 just about 3-point attempts after the injury. So 3 per game decrease as a team. That's pretty big.
Yeah, it's a good call.
All right.
What's the score? How many points did I get for Stackhouse? Like 5, right? For pulling the Jerry Stackhouse answer?
You got 1. Look, I didn't think anyone was going to get that just off the cuff like that. So that's why there was that little pause there, though. I was just too surprised when you said it correctly. So Bryce and 01, you guys have 3. 02, you have 2. So close game still. And then this one's going to you, 02. So Cade's best month from the free throw line was in March. That's true. Sheed or Sham, he averaged 6.5 free throw attempts per game during that month, where then he shot 87%. The 87% is not part of the question, just a fact.
I looked at so many Cade stats this past season, and I'm always at a stage of reviewing Cade stats, but I don't know this one. It's tough. I'm going to go, 6.5 is like a pretty good bump from like where he's usually at. I'm going to go Sham. I feel like I would have noticed 6.5. I don't know. I'm going to go Sham.
Oh, what?
I'm going Sham.
I will go Sheed then, just to see if I can build a little bit of a lead here. I think I would go Sheed in a vacuum as well.
It is Sheed. It really did take that jump. So in that month of March, it was up at 6.5. And actually after the All-Star break in general, 6.2. Up from 4.9 beforehand.
Do you have the month by month in general? I can pull it up if you don't. But
not in general. I ended up having to calculate the March one by hand on Basketball Reference. Not hard to do, but I did do that.
Because it just had total free throw attempts. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to do that live and make people sit through that. So,
you teach math,
for context, Cade averaged 2.6 free throw attempts per game as a rookie.
Yeah.
Last year, he averaged 5.3. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, and a huge jump after the All-Star break, 4.9 to 6.2.
NBA sent the memo. He's a star.
I actually, I put that in my Asar video breakdown about him defensively. Like, I think Asar's foul troubles become less and less when he starts getting the all defensive team whistle that he's going to eventually get. Like, he's just not going to get called for fouls that he does right now because officials aren't going to call one of the 10 best, maybe 5 best defenders at some point in his career, for that many fouls. So, all right. I think I have a 1-point lead on 01 and 2-point lead on 02.
That is correct. It is 4 to 2 to 3, and we have 2 questions left. So, Omari, or 02, you could tie it because Omari, that's talking to too many people when I say that on this episode right now. So we'll go to 02. That was yours first. This should be 01, right? So speaking of Cade Cunningham, Sheed or Sham, Jalen Duren has played the most games alongside Cade so far in Cade's career. So in other words, Jalen Duren is actually Cade Cunningham's most frequent teammate.
I'm going to say that is Sham.
I'm trying to come up with another name, and I'm not.
At least make sure you're not talking about as a starter, right? You're just talking about
just in general. Yeah, just appears.
Just in general. Okay.
I'm going to say Sheed because I can't come up with a better name.
Yeah, I'm going to go Sheed because the tourists have not played together. Yeah. Asar missed most of his rookie year. Well, not most of his rookie year, but he missed the end of his rookie year. Yeah, it could be Stu. I'm going to go.
I'm thinking it's Stu.
That's
but I'm going to go Duren. I think it's Duren.
He didn't put any parameters around.
Yeah.
Minutes or anything.
Yeah. I'm Stu? I'm sick of Duren, but could be Stu.
It is Stu. Yeah, so there's the correct answer.
Well done.
Devon got it there. So despite all the injuries, it is Isaiah Stewart. He's got 171 games appeared with Cade Cunningham. Jalen Duren is actually second, but he's 50 games off at 121. And surprisingly, I thought Asar Thompson third, 102.
I wonder what the minutes are. Like, I wonder if Duren has actually played more minutes with Cade, even in that many less games. Because like last year, think how many minutes Cade and Duren played together,
right?
Compared to maybe Cade and Stu. But
I would guess if you cut off Cade's rookie season, then it would be Duren.
Yeah.
Stu had like a year head start.
That's true. That's a start. Yeah, that's true.
He had a year head start, and he was the starting center that whole year.
Yeah,
so.
that was the name that I should have been able to find. That's great job, 01. So me and him are tied. Me and 01 are tied.
Yep. And so this would be for do we count 01 as an 02 win? I mean, you got the genetics there.
I can't. That's my dad's record. I gotta.
All right, we'll let it stand alone.
Combine that. I gotta give it to him.
All right, Bryce, this one's coming to you. We'll stick with Isaiah Stewart. We all talk about how he did not shoot the basketball last year, and in general, that is true. However, sheet or sham, Isaiah Stewart averaged 2.7 3-point attempts per game in the final month of the season.
I'm going to put my answer in the I'm going to put my answer in the chat, and then that way me and 01, he's not forced to answer different than me, just so we don't tie. So I'll put my answer in the chat, and then 02, you can go.
I'm going to go Sham.
Yeah, I'm going Sham as well, because I saw him shooting some from three, but I can't recall him consistently doing that during games. So I'm just going to say Sham.
So in the chat, I put Sheed. My rationale was, there was still games where I don't think he took many, but I think there was, I broke down a game where he took 5 in that one game. And I think maybe there was enough where he took 4 or 5 that balanced it out. Maybe in that small of a sample. Time? It was just April, so there could have been that many
games.
There's not that many games.
Oh, so okay.
So it is Sheed, and I want biggest of qualifiers. This is 3 games. This is 3 games, so it's a very leading question. But yes, for those 3 games, he did average 2.7 3-point attempts. There were some other really funky, I thought, Isaiah Stewart shooting stats. He shot more than 1 3-pointer per game versus the Western Conference. I didn't understand that. Also, over 1 per game when he had 3 or more days of rest, and when he started games, which is also only 4 games. Oh, and the last one, 40% of his threes were makes after the All-Star break, less than an attempt per game. So Isaiah Stewart, an enigma as a shooter.
Just shoot more.
Yeah, just shoot more.
Doesn't to shoot more. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Wes. That was a lot of fun. Really appreciate it. 01, this was everything I was hoping it would be and more. Whenever we talked about having you on, I'm glad you joined us. I will let you and 02 close it out from here, but I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and how much fun I had listening to you talk Pistons and 02 and all of that. So you guys take it away here, but thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, great to have you on, Pops. Let the good people know, you're not producing content, but where are you out in the world? What should the people know about you?
You can reach me through my son. His personal cell phone number is 313. No, I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and be a part of this. I mean, as a Pop, it doesn't get any better. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll do it again. We'll have to. One, I got to get my revenge and cheat or Sham. I can't lose to my dad and to Bryce. That's just that's not good. That's really not good. So we got to run that back if nothing else for sure.
Well, I want to say one thing. The next time I come on, son, I want merch. So
all right, we'll get you some merch. We'll get you some more merch. Our store was down, and now the store's back up. So I gotta get my parents some new hoodies. It sounds like. But no, it was awesome having you on. I love you, obviously, and we'll definitely make it happen again once we get into the season and we see how some of these predictions shake out. And with that, I'll go ahead and close this out. A big thanks to our audio producer, Robin Chan, our editor-in-chief, Nicole Avery Nichols, and a big shout out to Wes Davenport, as always. And Bryce, we'll talk to you all next week.